Hi guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast channel. My name is Mina. It has been a long time since I've sat down to film one of these. I don't even know what number we're on, which episode this is, but welcome. I have, I guess, a lot to catch you guys up on. It has been a long time since I filmed a podcast episode. Must have been earlier this year. We are now in November. Today's November the 11th, I want to say. It's Tuesday, November 11th. Almost at the end of the year already. I genuinely don't know. This year has been such a whirlwind. And yeah, so the last couple of videos I posted on the channel are moving vlogs. So if you're unaware, we moved to Gibraltar this summer and we're all settled in now and getting used to life here and really enjoying it. Actually, it's been a really great move. And anyway, I'll have a lot more to chat about that later. I thought we'll jump in with the knitting, spinning, crochet, fibre related things that I want to catch you guys up on and what I've been working on and things like that. I don't know if I have everything that I've worked on since the last time I filmed, and I don't know if some of this stuff is things that I showed the last time I don't think it is. I think everything here that I have to show you is new. So, but I just don't know if I actually got everything. Oh, a robin. It's the first one I've seen here. Oh, that's cute. Sorry, just looked out the window. Usually I look out the window and there's just like a rock face on the other side because I'm facing the back of the house. And sometimes when the sun's out, you see the little lizards or geckos, or I don't know if it's a gecko or a lizard or what type it is, but little ones running around the rock face sometimes. And Hugo's just walked in, so he might make an appearance. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I'll start with like the actual stuff and then we can have a little chit chat at the end. It has been a long time since I've done one of these sit down videos, so apologies if I'm a little bit like this, essentially stumbling over my words, and we will see how this goes. Hopefully I can edit out any of like the really awkward bits and make this somewhat smoother. So right, let's get into it. Starting with some of the big items. I feel like this is going to be a very rainbow heavy episode. I was looking around at everything and I was like, there's a lot of rainbow this time around. Clearly it's been on my mind this year. So starting with, I think this was one that I finished. Yeah, I definitely finished this before we moved. I had a bunch of t-shirt yarn that I'd managed to find fairly inexpensively online at some point. I can't even remember when I got it now. And I wanted to turn it into something. I knew it wouldn't be enough to like do like a big blanket or anything massive with, but I thought, you know what, I'll just crochet it up into something and we'll see how big it ends up being. So I can't remember how many stitches I cast on, but I started with however many and I just worked through each of the colours I had in a rainbow order, starting from like pink and red all the way down through the different rainbow colours to the blues at the end. The only colour I didn't have was purple, I guess. But yeah, so that's what that turned out. And this is now just like a little rug that I throw on the floor in my office. Nova loves coming in here and like, she jumps across it and like shouts out all the different colours and stuff like that. So she likes playing with it. But it usually lives here on the floor in my office, is where that one lives. My next finished object is actually my most recently finished thing. And I did post about this on Instagram recently after like my months long hiatus of posting, and it's this giant blanket, and this blanket is huge. Our bed is a super king size bed and this blanket is bigger than our bed. So width wise it's just big enough to hang over the edges a little bit, but lengthwise this blanket is longer than our bed by at least a couple of rows. So there's a bit of a story behind this blanket. It wasn't one I'd necessarily planned on making, but once we moved in and kids had started school before I really had a chance to sit down and like sort out my office space, because they were on school holidays at the beginning, and so I didn't have a lot of uninterrupted kid-free time to actually sit down and like focus on sorting out my office. So things were a bit higgledy-piggledy in here for a while, and once I had the time to sit down and sort out all the yarn and things I had, most of my yarn is actually stored up here on top of this Kallax unit I have here, and in that back cupboard there. In there I mostly have yarns that are set aside for blankets and sweater projects and like the larger quantities of stuff, and up here I have my sock yarns, my handspun, and my other sort of like random single or two skeins of yarns. And I had one big basket for my handspun, and I was like, I have a lot of handspun, and like there was more handspun that could fit in this basket. I was like, okay, I need to do something with all this handspun. I have all these like random odd skeins of handspun. I don't know what to do with them. They kind of don't really go together for a sweater type project, because they're all, I mean, I could have done it, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do with them. I had everything from singles to 2-ply to 3-ply to chain spun to traditional ply, all these different varieties, various styles of spinning, from like fractal to just like stripes to all sorts of different variations. And I was like, I just need to use up, and I want to use up a bunch of my handspun because I don't know what else to do with it. I don't, you know, there's only so many hats and cowls and things you can knit out of handspun. And because it's handspun, it's hard for me to gift items made from handspun to people, not because they're not worthy of it, but because I try not to gift people knitwear or fiber related products, things that I've made that requires them to go above and beyond to care for them. So with handspun is one of those things that like it has to be hand washed for the most part, and half of my handspun, I can't remember if most of it is non-superwash stuff, so I don't like to put that burden onto someone else who may or may not remember to look after it correctly, and I don't want to make someone else feel bad because they've accidentally shrunk something I've given them. And so whilst I don't mind that sort of thing usually with commercial yarns or commercially spun yarns, like with socks and things, if something gets accidentally felted, I really don't bother. It doesn't bother me in the same way. But with handspun it's different because you've put in all that time and effort into actually making the yarn, as well as then the project that you make with it. So I pulled out, I think initially I pulled out about 18 or 20 skeins of yarn of handspun. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make like a rainbow-ish blanket. So, and I was like, what kind of blanket can I do? And I was like, you know what, we just do like a patchwork crocheted blanket. And I looked up how to do one of these more solid squares. Like I obviously you could have done a granny square, but I didn't want something with all the holes that you get with granny squares, like all the gaps. I wanted something a little bit more solid. Because what I found with the granny square blanket we did have, and I believe that's now with my parents, the granny square blanket, not granny square, granny stripe blanket. I found that when we did have that back in the UK, the kids played with it a lot, used it a lot, but the holes kept catching on things, their fingers, their toes, door handles, like whatever, and it was like I was worried about it getting damaged. And so I wanted this blanket to be a little bit more hardy and long wearing, and obviously because it's handspun, I wanted it, I didn't want as many big gappy holes in it. So it does still have some holes on like the cross section, but it's a more solid square than a granny square would be. Anyway, that's a lot of rambling just to say I found this type of square pattern is the one I wanted to use. And I didn't want to go for something more elaborate. I wanted a fairly simple design so the handspun could kind of just show off itself. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. There's all sorts of different weights of yarn in this. There's everything from fingering weight held double, there's some where it's just fingering weight held single, up to like a DK worsted weight. Even some of the yarns in here, like this one's definitely more of an Aran / chunky weight. It all works out fine once it's like seamed together. It's the one thing I found with doing scrappy projects that are pieced together. The weight of the yarn that you use isn't such a big factor in the overall thing, because once it's all seamed together, squares that are, some that are bigger versus some that are smaller, it all kind of works out fine once it's all seamed together. So for example, this green square here is quite a bit larger than the square next to it, but once it's all seamed together in a blanket, that size difference doesn't really matter. They kind of, the ones that are a bit smaller kind of get a bit stretched out to accommodate the larger size of the ones next to it, and it all kind of just evens out in the end. I will include some photos that I took of this blanket on my bed, because there's no way you're going to be able to see all of it, but I will attempt to try and show it to you. I'm going to have to put back my chair and stand up and see how much of this you can see. So and I kind of mishmashed the squares together to try and blend it a bit more, I guess. So starting with the reds, and I did have, red was the least amount that I had. And I actually spun more yarn to go into this blanket whilst I was working on it, because I realised I didn't really have a lot of red. There's at least 3-4 of the different reds in this that I actually spun specifically to add to the blanket because I had such little red. And then into like the more oranges and yellows. Let's just fold this top bit down so you can see. And there we go. And then further down, moving into the lighter greens. This blanket's heavy as well. It's 280 squares in this blanket. And then into the greens and blues. Get this to move across. Greens and blues. And then finally, I have a lot of greens and blues and quite a bit of purple in my handspun stash. And then the purples at the bottom. And this dark blue was one that I specifically spun for this project. Actually, I had the girls help me make rolags that I then spun to turn into these. And I actually have a little video clip, I think, that Perry filmed on his phone that if I can find it, I will insert here as well, so you can see the girls helping me make the rolags. They really enjoyed doing that one evening. Yeah, just put it on the board. All right, brush it down. Just like I showed you. Good go. Yeah. Yeah. So your turn next.
This one will be different to the other.
They'll come up, yeah. They'll all be slightly different from each other because we're doing the colours in different orders as well, so it's fine. Enjoying it? Right, can I help you? Let's do it together from the top. Whoa, be careful. From the top. Pull down.
I don't need some help.
You don't need help?
No.
I think you might need a little bit of help. Just make sure we get some at the top. Wait, let her focus on what she's doing, honey. Okay, almost done. Now do you want to do the last bit and then you can focus on brushing?
Yeah.
Alright,
I need to focus brushing.
You need to focus on brushing, okay.
Yeah. You don't see me.
Alright, come on, you do it. Go on. Good job. Oh! See, that's what happens when you don't do it the right way. It's alright, let me just fix this bit. Alright, now you do the last bit.
Luckily, Mummy can fix it.
It's alright, most things like this can be fixed.
Oh,
don't
no.
put it out. It's okay. Just focus on what you're doing.
That's enough.
Okay.
Also, Mummy.
I know. It's all done now. Let's just pull it off now, shall we? Should we see what these ones look like? I think it's probably enough.
Okay, so
A little bit thin on this end, but
we
it's
didn't use all of it this time.
okay.
That's...
Okay, so there's a couple of grey bits down here that aren't coming up, so can you poke them up?
Me.
Layla's doing it this time.
I want to do this part. Am I doing it? What's it called?
Not quite.
I can do the other one. I can try and do the other one. Hey.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you did fine, honey. Okay.
Pull and pull. Are we doing a pull and fetch?
Pull and turn.
Pull and turn.
Yeah. And then I just finished it off again with handspun on the border. I did a couple of rows in a sort of greenish grey handspun, which was John Arbon fibre that I'd spun. I did a round of single crochet, then a round of double crochet in that colour, and then I did 3 granny stripes rounds in this other skein that I had, which was a really large skein. It started out in this like chartreusey colour, and it transitioned into like a pale green and then into a darker greenish blue. So that was all one skein of yarn that of handspun. So the entire blanket is handspun. The only thing in this blanket that's not handspun is the sock yarn I used for the seaming. I had 2 different types of grey sock yarn in my stash that I'd used for heels and cuffs and stuff like that in the past, and I had a bunch of it left over, so I used that for seaming it up. And yeah, so that was actually, I worked on the squares over a period of about a month, I think, and then the actual seaming of it all took about a week. I spent like a couple of hours every day working on sewing the squares together and stuff, so it took about a week and a half to get that all done. And I finally finished it all 2 days ago. I think it was Sunday evening that I finished it, or maybe it was Monday. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, anyway, a couple of days ago I finished it all off. And so yeah, that was really fun. That was really had a good time with that. I used a 4mm crochet hook. I think that's I don't know what that is in letters for crochet. It's a 4mm, was it a 4 hook? Yeah, sorry, I just have to check, I couldn't remember now. And yeah, so it turned out great. Like I said, it's really heavy. It's about the size of our bed, which is perfect. And I'm not sure how much use it will actually be, used for as a like blanket come winter, because I don't really know how cold it's going to start feeling in this house. It's already cooled off quite a bit, which is quite nice, but it still gets quite warm upstairs, so we're kind of in that transitional phase where we don't really have the air conditioning on anymore during the day. Sometimes upstairs, if it gets a little bit warm during the day, I'll have it on for like half an hour in the afternoon just to cool off, especially if I'm cooking dinner and using the oven and stuff. It can get a bit warm. Otherwise we only have it on at night to keep the bedrooms nice and cold for the kids. They sleep much better in cold rooms, so that's really the only time we have it on. But I might just like lay it out and use it as like a cover on our sofas or something. I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoyed doing it. It was a great use of handspun. It's something that's gonna be something that we keep for a long time. The kids will love it. They always love all the knitted blankets that I have. I think we have 2 upstairs at the moment that I have in a basket next to the TV, and the girls just go and grab them and like use them on the sofa to snuggle up with in the afternoons and stuff if they want to. So yeah, so that was a big finished object that I'm really proud of, really happy with, and it really didn't take that long to put together. But there again, that was pretty much the only thing I was working on at the time, so it was fairly focused. I think one of the problems I'm having right now with starting projects and working on projects is that I do have probably in the region of around 4 or 5 designs that I just need to focus on finalizing, either and they're all knit up, they're all done. I just have to finalize. I have to sit down, write the patterns, finalize them, get them tech edited, get them ready to go, photograph, like all those sorts of steps. And because of that, I think like mentally I'm just not allowing myself to move on to other things. And so it's just one of those things where I've just been doing really easy, non brain power consuming projects in the meantime. Also because we've moved and there's been a whole transition thing and getting settled and not having a lot of brain space to deal with that. Anyway, and on that note, I've knit a few socks since the last time I checked in. Not that many actually. I have this pair of DK socks that I did. The yarn for this, I believe, was some yarn that I picked up at Lidl or Aldi last year. So DK weight socks there. I have this pair of fingering weight socks, which I don't even know where the yarn came from for these, but turned out quite cute. It's funny, one looks more striped and one looks more gradient, and I only just realised that now holding it up, but they are the same yarn. So this yarn came in 50-gram balls, so it's quite funny because I just only now holding it up and looking at it on camera did I notice that. In person obviously you see it as well, but I hadn't really noticed it until just now. That's interesting. And the last pair that I've just finished recently is from a Zalvable. Haven't blocked or woven in the ends on this one yet, but just another pair of plain vanilla socks. So that's the 3 most recent pairs of socks that I've knit. Trying to see if I haven't forgotten anything else. After I finished the squares for that blanket, I did knit up 2 more of these pinwheel squares for my pinwheel scrap blanket pattern. I'm working on one of these for Nova now. Layla, I made her blanket and finished it for her 5th birthday. So I'm working on Nova's. Layla's blanket had 60 squares in it, and I'm well on my way. Now with these 2, I am now at 40 squares for Nova's blanket. So hers is coming along nicely, and Nova's 3.5. So I have another 1.5 years to get another 20 squares done, which should be fine, hopefully. And then I have 2 more finished objects to share, I think. 3 more. One is behind me on the wall, if you can see it there. I don't know if anyone noticed it earlier before I said anything. This is I guess a prototype or a first attempt at a new design. I was it's a, I'm not going to get it down now to show you, but it's a triangular shawl, as you can see. So this one I actually knit using handspun for the main shawl, and then the details on it are out of just some commercial scrap yarn I had. It's like a sparkly white colour. Like I said, I was just testing out a new design element for a shawl, and I really like how that turned out. I often actually end up using my handspun for these purposes, like to try out a new design and like try out new design elements. And yeah, I'm really happy with how that one has turned out. So stay tuned. That will at some point in the future be a new design. I will knit it up again in other yarn that I have for, set aside for doing a shawl pattern. But I was just trialing out a new trialing out a new design idea. Anyway, so that's that one. And speaking about trialing out design ideas using handspun, here's another one. I don't know if I actually shared this on Instagram or not. I don't think I did. I took photos to share on Instagram and I never actually got around to it. It's a cowl pattern, clearly. I hope that's clear. And it's Fisherman's rib, so it's like a faux brioche. So it's not as scary as brioche, and yeah, knits up really beautifully. So again, both yarns in this are actually handspun. The rainbow and the background grey colour is just handspun. Again, I was trialing out a new idea, and then I did knit it up in the final yarn that's going to be in the pattern, and it's a bit bigger as well. It was just what I'd intended. I think it goes this way around. We can go whichever way around you want. And this is using some yin yang yarns by Loop Fibre Studio, and I can't remember the name of the yarns. I do have the tags saved in the notebook with the pattern notes in it, because I still haven't written this one up. It's one of the ones I need to write up. But yeah, so there's that, and I can't remember the name of the yarn right now, but I do really like how this has turned out. I'm still thinking of a name for this one, so if you have any naming ideas, feel free to leave those in the comments down below. And yeah, so I think that's it for finished objects. I think that's it for like finished knitted and crocheted items. I do have another finished object of sorts, and again, I've been waiting to film a podcast for this before I wind these up. So if you remember, I started a series on spinning my rainbow yarn, and I shared how I created the mini bats, and then how I spun some of them. I mean, to be fair, I stopped doing that series just because it became really repetitive and the spinning process was all the same. So just imagine me doing that about 20 times over, and here's the finished basket of yarn. The last few that I did was I did a skein of just the plain white to use either for the border, or I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna knit up this blanket, if it's gonna be knit or crochet. I haven't figured that out yet, but I have all the yarn done now. And so the last few skeins I believe that I hadn't recorded anything for were the darker green going into the blues and purple at the end. Let me see if I can get the right colour order. I think it's like this towards the end. So the idea behind this was I had basically a rainbow selection of colours of fibre, and I blended, so I would do straight red, and then I blended the red and orange, and then I did the straight orange, and then it was the orange and yellow, and then into straight yellow, etc., yellow into green, then just the light green, then light green to dark green, then just dark green. You get the idea. The whole way through the rainbow that way. And then I applied the single strands with a single of the white, just undyed yarn, fibre. Sorry, I'm getting my terminology all muddled up. I clearly haven't spoken about this in a while. And to create this sort of barber pole effect, which I really like, because one of the things I love about handspun is getting this barber pole effect with your spinning. And I thought also having the white running through all the skeins kind of ties it all in together quite nicely, and it also mellows out the rainbow effect so it's not so strong. Also, this way I get the most yardage Whereas if I just applied the singles on themselves and just had the straight colour without the white mixed in, I would end up with half the yardage that I've ended up with now, which I should have actually counted how much yardage I have overall, but a lot. I have a lot. So plenty to do a knitted blanket with. Now here's my conundrum. I'm not sure what I want to do or how I want to do this. Do I want to do another pieced blanket where I do smaller squares or smaller pieces that I then seam together afterwards, or do I want to just cast on a ton of stitches and knit away, or do I want to crochet again? I've done a lot of crochet blankets recently. I haven't done a knitted blanket for a while, but there again, I don't know what kind of blanket I want to do. I could do little log cabin squares and then seam those together, but then how do I do the color management? Sorry, I've got fluff in my mouth now. So yeah, there's a lot to think about still, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this blanket yet. Am I going to just try and design something myself? Am I going to go with an existing design? Am I just going to do garter stripes? I'm not entirely sure yet. So if you have any suggestions for this as well, for what I should do with all this handspun rainbowy goodness to turn into a blanket, because that is really what I want this to turn into. I want to turn it into a blanket as well. I'm on a real blanket kick at the moment, or have been this whole year. Let me know your thoughts on what I should do with that, or what suggestions or ideas you might have for that as well. Because I could always do with a helping hand to get my thoughts in a row, because right now I have too many possibilities and not enough clarity on like which direction I want to go in. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually just wind up the yarn, and I think once I have it all wound up, it will help me visualize a bit better what I want to do with it. Also, the other problem I have is there's a variety of thicknesses in the yarn. There's a variety of yarn weights. A lot of it is sort of DK-ish, but I definitely have some skeins that are more on the fingering sport weight side and some that are more on the DK worsted weight side. I don't think it will matter overall, but that's also what's leading me to think whether going for crochet would be better than knitting, because crochet tends to hide those variations a little bit better. But I've also never bothered with that. That sort of thing's never bothered me, especially when it comes to handspun. I enjoy those variations quite a lot as well. I think that's part of what makes handspun so unique. Sorry, there's just one fly that's in this house that is the bane of my existence. Has been for the last few days. Anyway, okay, I think we have now covered all of my finished objects. I have one work in progress currently, and that is I have started on the girls' Christmas jumpers for this year, or jumpers they will get as Christmas presents. Typically every year I knit them jumpers, or I have done. I don't think I did it last year, but I've knit them something every year for Christmas. This year I wanted to do the matching jumpers. They still don't mind wearing something matching every now and again, so as long as I can get away with it, I will. And so this is the start of Nova's one. It's a little stripy raglan sleeve jumper. It's a variation on one of my patterns, the mix and match child sweater. And I believe Nova's one I'm knitting in the 4 to 6 year old size. And I'm using Wool of the Andes Superwash worsted weight in these 3 colours. I have Haze Heather, Indigo Heather, and then I think this one is just Fairy Tale. So 2 heathered and 1 not heathered yarn. But I thought these 3 colours went really well together. The girls really like purple, and yeah, so I thought this would be a nice one, a bit of a variation. I've done a lot of red sweaters for them in the past. I thought purple would be a nice change, and so this is how Nova's one's turning out. I've just split for the sleeves and working on down the body. I measured the girls recently because it's been a while since I've knit them something, and wow, they've both grown quite a lot. I'm just like, why are you getting so big? For Layla, I actually have to move on to the adult pattern and use the smaller size in the adult pattern for her, because she's just growing so much. To knit her a sweater that's going to last her more than a year, basically, is what I was trying to get at for that. But yeah, so that's been what I've been working on as of yesterday. I started this last night, so yeah. Okay, so that's it for works in progress. So I'm just trying to find my notepad because I made some notes on the other things I wanted to talk about, and if I don't occasionally check, I might forget something. So anyway, I'm going to work on this while we have a little chit chat about everything else that's been going on this year, because it's been a long time since I caught up with you guys. So if you were just here for the knitting and crochet and that sort of stuff, then thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will not promise to be back with another podcast before the end of the year, because Vlogmas is starting in December and I'm going to attempt to do Vlogmas this year. I'm not entirely sure how this will work. I say this every year because I don't want to go into it with too much expectation and put too much pressure on myself to do something that I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to keep up with. I should be able to do it this year. I don't think that will be a problem. We are flying back to the UK for Christmas after the kids finish school. So how that works out with Vlogmas, I'm not entirely sure in terms of like upload schedule and stuff like that. It should be fine, to be honest. And yeah, and there's, funnily enough, I'm in 2 different parent WhatsApp groups for the kids, for each year group the kids are in. And the little ones, the Nova's class, the WhatsApp group for, it's just been like spouting off with Christmas stuff recently, and I was just like, wow, there's a lot going on in Gibraltar for Christmas for kids, and it's amazing. Like, it's great. Like, I never expected, I mean, I say never expected, I'd heard that Gibraltar's great for kids and for raising families, and it has been. That has been our experience so far. But I'm still surprised by the sheer volume of activities and things that are being organised in the run up to Christmas. Anyway, I'm starting to skew off. So yes, if you were here just for the knitting stuff, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you soon in Vlogmas. And if you're here for the chit chat, then grab your knitting, grab your crochet, grab your drinks, grab your spinning, grab whatever you want, and just like buckle down, because we have a lot to catch up on. So I guess first things first, the last vlogs ended a few days after we moved that I posted, and we spent the rest of the summer kind of just getting settled in, enjoying our time here. Perry had a 2-week work trip in August, and I took the girls for an overnight trip. We went to Marbella, and I was with the girls. I was like, you know what, let's go do an overnight somewhere and just go have some fun, just the 3 of us, and do something fun. It was hot, you know, the good thing about Gibraltar, because of where it is, like, it gets hot in the summer but never too hot. Spain, however, does not have this problem, even though Marbella is like an hour and a half away. In the summer here, I think the peak temperatures never really got above 30 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Let me just double check, because I know a lot of you are in the US. So, so 30 degrees, it's about 86. 86 is kind of like, in Fahrenheit, it's kind of like, that's a hot day here in Gibraltar. Like, that's a lot, that's quite high. But we went to Marbella, like I said, with the girls, and it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was over 40 degrees during the day, and bless my poor children, they were such good sports about it. Like, I was dying of the heat. My poor children, who are not used to this, were also dying. Poor Nova, she was not having it. She was not having it at all. We would step out of the car, or we'd get out of the apartment, the little Airbnb we stayed at, and she would immediately want to turn around, and she was like, I want to go back to the car. I want to go back inside. I don't like it. It's too hot. It's too sunny. I don't like it. I'm thirsty. It was constantly. And I'm like, I do not blame you, child. This is far too hot, far too miserable. So we made the most of it while we were there. But equally, we didn't actually get to do that much because it was so hot. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna come back once things have cooled off a little bit and we can actually walk around the town a bit more. But I mean, we had fun. We had fun. We went for a quick little overnight trip, and it was nice to just get out and do something a bit different. And I typically will go over to Spain about once a week to do a food shop, because there are more supermarkets and more options, and things tend to be a bit cheaper over in Spain than here. We have like one main large supermarket in Gibraltar, and then just across the border in La Linea, which is the town on the other side of the border of Gibraltar in Spain, there's, well, I call it the La Linea bingo, or the La Linea supermarket sweep. There's like 4 supermarkets I'll go to in La Linea, and I kind of like hit all 4 of them, and I get specific things from each one. Like, so one has the cucumbers we like, which is so random. One has the meats we prefer to get from one, and like dairy stuff from another. Like, it's all just a bit of a mishmash, but like I hit up all of them usually, or at least 3 of them each time I go. there's a giant Carrefour hypermarket, so that's usually where we go if we need to get like anything else that's a bit more random other than just food stuff, things like something for the garden maybe or whatever. But yeah, anyway, so that's something that happens fairly frequently. I'm coming to the quick realization that I'm going to have to get a new passport by next summer, I think, because I'm racking up the stamps now every time I go over, which is fine. It's not a big deal. And then, so yeah, we've really been settling in. School started in September. The kids have absolutely been loving it. They enjoy going to school every day. Every time we go past their school, Nova's like, bye school, hi school, bye school. We go past their school quite a lot because it's on our way to town from our house. And yeah, they're loving it. They've both made friends with kids in their class. We've already had a couple of birthday parties, and yeah, it's been going really well. The kids are really getting settled in. Layla's made friends with a couple of other girls who live in our little neighborhood. So it's not where we live, where our house is, like our little development. It's not quite a gated community, but it's kind of like the road leading into like where our development is, where our house is. It's like you don't come down this road unless you're specifically coming to one of the houses in this little development. It's not like a through road. It's not quite a cul-de-sac, but I guess it's that kind of vibe. And so, like I said, Layla's made friends with a couple of the other girls her age in our neighborhood. One of them actually goes to her school as well, but she's in the other class. And I'm in like a WhatsApp group with their mums, with the girls' mums as well. And so occasionally someone will pop on the WhatsApp group, like, any of the kids free? Like, I'll pop on and be like, Layla wants to play, is anyone around, kind of thing. And they'll be like, yeah, so and so's available, whatever. And then we're like, okay, so whose house do they want to go to? Where do they want to start, kind of thing. And they'll just make the rounds. Maybe they'll come around to our house first, and then after an hour they'll be like, okay, we're going to this one's house now, and we're going to go to that one's house. And we have a fob for our garage door, and the garage has like an internal door into the house that's that obviously you access through the garage. And so I put the fob on like a ribbon that Layla can just hang around her neck, and so she grabs that when she's going around to one of her friends' houses, and so she'll grab that, throw that on, and she'll go, or they'll come and pick her up and they'll walk over together, kind of thing. And sometimes she'll come back, she'll open up the garage, she'll grab her bike, they'll go for a bike ride. It gives her a lot of freedom that she would never have had at this age back in the UK. It's so safe, and like the kids come and go, and as mums, like we update each other, like at whose house the kids are at, and stuff like that. And it's great. Like, I know that Layla can have that independence, and not worry about where she is or who she's with and stuff like that. So that's been great. She's had her first sleepover with one of her friends from like I said, from the neighborhood. She came over, and they had like a movie night and watched K-pop Demon Hunters and had popcorn, and then they had a sleepover, and it was great. So I'm so happy for her to have that now, because that's not something that she ever would have been able to have back home. Like, genuinely, she didn't have any friends her age that we knew that well, like on our street or even on like the neighboring streets, and there's just no way that would have been something that we would have been comfortable with her doing, to just go off down the road by herself, kind of thing, to go to someone's house, without one of us walking her there and then picking her up afterwards. And I think that has been like a really big quality of life improvement, shall we say, for the kids, for Layla especially right now, is that sense of independence that she can have. And off the back of that as well, when talking about school, I think the other thing that's really improved our quality of life as a family is the amount of time that we've gotten back from this move. So back home, it was about a half-hour drive each way to Layla's school. We didn't mind that. I would never begrudge doing that. It was absolutely fine. It was you know, that school was the best school for her in our area, and like we were willing to do that. Like, that was not something we ever begrudged. We could have put her into a different school that was closer, but you know, we decided to make that sacrifice because that was the best for her at the time. But coming here, and I joke with some of the mums that I meet here and talking about like settling in and stuff, I'm just like, I joke that, you know, I used to drive half an hour to Layla's school each way. I can't even drive half an hour in Gibraltar. I'd end up in Spain. Like, unless you're doing a loop around the country, and even then it doesn't take that long. like seriously, the airport is the furthest I'd ever have to drive from where we are, and that's like 15 minutes if you hit traffic lights from our house to the airport, and the airport is right at the border to Spain. So like I literally cannot drive half an hour in Gibraltar without ending up in Spain. So it gives us so much time freedom back. We used to leave the house at 7:30 in the morning to get Layla, to beat the morning traffic, to actually get her to school on time, because if we left any later we'd hit traffic and be late. Whereas now I don't even have to leave the house until 8:30 to get them to school. We could technically walk to school. It's about 15-minute walk to school. We don't, only because part of the way there's no pavement and the roads here are really narrow, so it's a bit dangerous having to walk on the side of the street with the kids that early in the morning with lots of, it's not a lot of traffic, but with a lot of cars coming and going and the roads being so narrow, it's not something we want to do. So either we'll drop them off by car or take the bus. When Perry's here, we typically take the car because we'll swing past the school, drop off the kids, and then I'll carry on and drop Perry off at work afterwards and then come home. And that's the other thing. Perry's work is like a 10-minute drive from our house. Sometimes sometimes he'll take the kids by himself in the morning by bus, and then he'll just walk from the kids' school to his office. It's like a 20-minute walk downhill. So again, in the mornings, our mornings are so much more relaxed. I don't even have to, before we used to leave the house at 7:30, I didn't even have to get out of bed until 7:30 to get the kids ready and get them breakfast and get them dressed and ready for school. So like that's a huge difference in and of itself. We're not rushed in the mornings anymore. We can actually take our time. The kids can have a proper breakfast. Not that they didn't have a proper breakfast before, but it always felt a bit rushed and like, come on, hurry up, hurry up. There was a lot of that in the past. Whereas now we can have a much more leisurely morning. And then in the afternoons, we're home before 4 o'clock. Back in the UK, we would, on a good day, we would be home around 5, usually more like 5:45, 6. And then on the days Layla had gymnastics, we wouldn't get home till like 6:30, 7:15, half 6. So it was a lot longer days. There wasn't as much time for Layla in the afternoons to get her homework done. We just didn't have as much like downtime in the afternoons. And now, like I said, most days we're home before 4. And then on the days when the kids have clubs or activities after school, we're home by like 10 past 5. So there again, we have a lot more time in the afternoons when we get home. And it's just a lot more relaxed. And there again, in the afternoons, the kids come home, they'll have their dinner, and then sometimes I'll get a text from one of Layla's friends' mums, and again in the neighbourhood, being like, does Layla want to come play? And so I'll be like, okay, Layla, you can go play for like a couple of hours and then come back and we'll do bedtime sort of thing. Things that we just would not be able to do back in the UK. And yeah, so all of that has led to an incredible improvement in quality of life for us as a family and for us and for our kids. So Gibraltar is also heavily influenced by Spanish culture and the way the Spaniards do things, or the Spanish do things. And one thing here is that pretty much everything is shut on Sundays. Other than Morrison's, which is the main supermarket, and I guess some restaurants and stuff, the actual shops, everything is shut on Sundays here. So Sundays is like a forced family day. And even in Spain, a lot of the shops and places are closed on Sundays. So Sundays have become our forced family day / get stuff done around the house day / just chill out day. And that's been really nice actually. And especially since we don't have our parents here, we don't have any immediate family here. So it's meant that really Sundays has become our family time as a family amongst ourselves, as the 4 of us. So that's also been really nice as well. And so yeah, I mean, in general, like there's been nothing that's made us regret this move. This has been the best decision we've made for us and for the kids. They're really thriving now as well. They're doing amazing. We've got some good friends here now, and yeah, overall just really happy with the move. Perry's actually away right now. He's been away. He was away last week and he's away until the end of this week. So he's away for 2 weeks this time as well. Usually he's only gone for like a week at a time, but this was kind of like a back-to-back thing. But yeah, and even then, like it's not stressful for me when Perry's not around because it's so much easier with the kids, and there's a lot more, we just have more time I don't think I can stress enough how much more time we just have here. And I think that's just been such a big realization. And I think that was kind of what we were hoping for with the move as well. But the reality of it is kind of a lot more, what's the word? It's better than what we anticipated, shall we say. And even though Gibraltar in and of itself is such a tiny place, it doesn't feel claustrophobic, if that makes sense, because Spain is just there as well. Like, it's so easy to just pop over to Spain for the day. Like a couple of weekends ago, before Perry went away for this current trip, we just did a day trip to Marbella. We found, when I went with the kids in the summer, we found this really lovely ice cream shop that we liked down on the beach. And so we drove over there, we went and got ice cream, we had lunch on the beach, and we went for a little wander through the old town and just sort of explored some of the shops, and just, we didn't even go for anything specific. We weren't looking to buy anything. We just went and wandered and spent a day out there and then came back home. And like I said, it was a little over an hour each way, so it's really not that far at all, and really easy to get to. Really fun sort of day trip out with the kids. And as Perry said, we were sat by the beach. We'd ordered food. We were just sat there in the restaurant waiting. Perry's like, it feels like we're on holiday. I'm like, yeah, well, because people do come here for a holiday. We just happen to come here for a day trip. Marbella, Malaga, all the little towns and places along that coastal area, like Portobano, Estepona, Soto Grande, all those along there are really close to Gibraltar, really easy to get to. They're all like within an hour and a half drive, less for most of those as well. Seville is a couple of hours away in the other direction. We haven't been there yet. And yeah, so there's just a lot to see and explore around like the southern Spain region, which is where we are sort of. And yeah, we're really looking forward to exploring a bit more. And I guess the only other really big news is I went to Thailand recently. My dad turned 70 this year, and for his 70th birthday sort of present, I guess, or thing, my brother sort of helped organise this big trip for my parents around Southeast Asia. And so I believe they went to, my dad and my brother went first, and they had a few days in Qatar, then they went to Thailand, they went to Vietnam, Malaysia, and then my parents stopped in Dubai on their way back as well. So I joined them for 4 days in Chiang Mai in northern Thailand. That's from when Perry and I went to Thailand. That was my favourite part of Thailand, and I was like, if I'm ever able to go back to Thailand, that's where I want to go. And the dates just happened to work out that I was able to go and meet them when they were going to be in Chiang Mai as well. I basically said to my brother, look, just let me know your dates. I have very limited availability for when I can travel because of Perry's travel schedule for work, and we also had friends visiting in October and stuff like that. So I was like, look, I'm very limited as to when I can travel and how long I can travel for. So you tell me what you're doing and I will see where I can fit in. And me going was a surprise for my dad. Like, he knew I was coming, but he didn't know what part of the trip I was going to join them for. And so that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of traveling for just 4 days, but it was totally worth going, and I'm so glad I went. It was definitely one of those, if I hadn't gone, I would have really regretted going. The only thing I regret is that I wasn't able to take Perry and the kids with me. However, the time difference and all of that, it was probably for the best that the kids didn't go. They're still a little bit too young. Layla's not quite adventurous enough with her eating habits yet, and Nova's just 3. And so I think with the time difference, it was still 5-hour time difference and stuff for such a short trip, would have been quite hard on the kids, and they probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as they will in a couple of years when they're a bit older. And again, it just wasn't going to work out for us all to go this time, but we had so much fun. We went and met the elephants. We went to one of the elephant sanctuaries and got to feed the elephants and like bathe them in the river and stuff like that. I've got some fun little videos. So again, if I remember, I will pop some videos at the end of this from my trip to Thailand really quickly, if you guys want to see. So I'll pop it at the end of this video. But yeah, so that was really fun. And then, like I said, the day I got back, we had friends come over from the UK visiting, and they had 2 girls, the same, actually both their girls are each a year older than our girls, but they're very close. And And so we had a great time. We went to the beach and we went hunting for sea glass. We found tons of sea glass. Layla's been obsessed with hunting for sea glass since we got here. And yeah, we've just been having a great time. Honestly, I did not think that late October we would still be having days at the beach. Like Layla went swimming in the sea and we had a day at the beach. Even now, like it's still 20 degrees most days. We're in November, and so what's 20 degrees in Fahrenheit? It's like 68, 70 degrees Fahrenheit most days still. Like it's a bit chilly in the morning, so the girls do wear like a jumper or a cardigan to school in the mornings, but by the afternoon it's really warm. And yeah, it's been amazing. Weather-wise, we've had some showers. We had a thunderstorm the other day. The kids were like absolutely mesmerized listening to the thunderstorm outside. But again, if I remember, I'll pop a video clip of that as well. But yeah, no, we've been loving it. It's just been such a good move. We really enjoyed it. I keep meaning to sit down and film a podcast, but stuff keeps happening. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying it. Oh, and the last thing, I've been really getting into like a sourdough kick recently. My mum flew over for my birthday just for a couple of days, and she brought me like a sourdough starter kit. Not the starter itself, but like the banneton baskets and like the stuff that you like, some of the paraphernalia. And I kind of just really got into it, so I've been making a ton of stuff with sourdough, and that's been a lot of fun. I've mostly, for the most part, replaced all our bread buying with sourdough, which has been great. I'm still perfecting the bread that I use for the kids' sandwiches, because Nova can be quite fussy and she's just like, yep. But working on that still. But I haven't bought store-bought bread in a couple of weeks now, so I think that's a bit of a win. We made sourdough pizza for dinner last night with the girls. They loved like stretching out the dough and putting their own toppings on it. And then I made sourdough cinnamon buns the other day, and the kids have been loving that. I made pancakes. They loved it. Like, to be fair, pretty much everything I've made using sourdough, they've been loving it. So we even made sourdough discard cheese crackers, and Nova's just been obsessed with those. So it's been great fun, and the kids have been enjoying. We had like a full-on baking day this past Saturday. My back was really bad, so I didn't want to leave the house, and we had a full-on baking day. We made butter from scratch. We made bread. I made cinnamon buns. We did the crackers. What else did we do? We were going to make pancakes, but then I don't know who it was. One of us knocked something that knocked over the buttermilk that I'd saved, and so we lost the buttermilk to make the pancakes, so it's fine. But yeah, anyway, we've been having a lot of fun in the kitchen as well, essentially, is the other thing I wanted to say. But yeah, so otherwise, I think that's about it. I think that's everything for today. Like I said, I'll see you again in December. And yeah, I hope you're all having a great time. If you have any suggestions for names for this cowl and for what I can do with all this rainbow handspun that I've done, what kind of blanket project you think would work well with it, feel free to let me know in the comments. Please let me know in the comments, because I am completely out of ideas right now. And on that note, I need to go and tidy up the mess that is this table, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks for Vlogmas. All right, take care and bye.
Mummy, mottos.
Yeah, well, the plants are getting a good watering today with all the rain. Oh, there's some lightning.
No. It's got a water mountain.
Water mountain?
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a tiny flood tomorrow.
Oh, they flash lightning.
2, a little bit. 3, 4. Yeah! That was 5.
Yeah.
Mommy.
Oh, that's loud.
How does it make that sound though?
So the sound the lightning makes is because the lightning is electricity jumping between clouds, and so that's the sound of the electricity jumping between the clouds.
That noise is scary.
It's okay. It's outside. You're all safe in here.
Under you.
Yeah.
Mommy,